Okay, we are fully disassembled, so the only way is up from here. So I've kind of just been checking the motors to see what state that's in, because while we're here it's worth that little bit of time. So if we start at the back, so the motor has brushes. It's not a brushed motor, okay? It's not a DC motor. It is an AC three-phase motor. So the 3 orange wires fire the motor. So why has it got brushes? So it's got slip rings on the rotor, and it's got a wound rotor. So it doesn't contain any magnets, but there's a coil, coils round the rotor. Probably see them better this way. So there you go, and if we spin it, and let's see in there, it's focusing on the stator at the moment, but yeah, so you see the rotor is wound and the stator on the outside is wound as well. So there's no magnets, but you obviously need magnetism against magnetism kind of thing. So it applies power to the rotor in the middle, just to kind of, so that they are magnets. And then it applies power to the stator in terms of getting the car to move as it wants. So yeah, but just generally checking over the motor, the brushes look okay, but you can't, this is the only time you can change them. The car's done 31,000, so that is getting a new Renault brush kit. So I'm going to put that on. So this is the old one. They're not too bad, but yeah, I'm going to put a new one on anyway. Because you can only literally do it when it's like this, because this box basically covers this side of the motor. So and I wanted to take the reduction gear off to listen to the motor and see what it's like down here. So you can get quite a lot of corrosion down here. So this gap at the top that I covered up with cardboard is the air cooling. So the ducting goes down there, pushes down, pushes through the motor, through either through the middle or through the cooling holes around the edge there, and then it exhausts out the back out there, and then there's a duct that goes downwards. So yeah, I wanted to spin it, and yeah, absolutely silent, so that's perfect. You do get a little bit of noise from the brushes, obviously a little bit of drag, but yeah, just wanted to check it, make sure it's all good, and it's absolutely fine. So that's 30k. It's quite fascinating actually. There's these little drill holes in the rotor. They obviously balance it a bit like you balance your tyres, but they obviously don't drill holes in your rims. They put stick-on weights, but with these rotors to balance them, they obviously drill little bits out, because the winding, when the machine winds all those windings around, it's not perfect, nothing's absolutely perfect. So yeah, they obviously drill little holes to balance it, so that yeah, it's totally balanced. It doesn't wobble or anything. And I mean, to be fair, this spins up to sort of 12,000 RPM, so you really don't want, yeah, it spins 10 times faster than wheel speed, because there's a 10-to-1 reduction in that reduction gear. So yeah, you really don't want it being out of balance. So yeah, motor seems good, so that's fantastic. So I can put that reduction gear back on, get those brushes fitted, make sure that's all good, and then next job is to do the transfer. So to get this PEC, so the box that wraps around the control box, charger and everything, get that prepped and ready to go, and rebuild this stack and put it back in the car. So yeah, next thing I'm going to do is just put that reduction gear back on, sort out the brushes, do that prepping of that box and get that on, and build myself a stack ready to go back in this car. All right, cool, cheers. Okay, so next step is complete. So I've built this PEC for the car, basically retaining as little as possible from the original one, because it's already condensated, and with all the coolant in this sort of lower layer. So yeah, as much as possible is from the new PEC. Fortunately, the part numbers are all the same, and version numbers and everything, which is fantastic. So really good. So that gives us confidence, because I've never done this swap on this variant before. You can have obviously VIN coding issues, well, you will have VIN coding issues, but you can also have compatibility issues as well. And Renault would just basically get a new one of these, 4,000-ish, and stick it on and code it. So they wouldn't, you know, kind of, they wouldn't do it this way. But obviously,
that's a ridiculous amount of money in my opinion, and it's quite wasteful, and these parts are available. We just got to make them work on the car they're going onto. So yeah, this is all prepped and ready. Everything's double checked, everything's back in place. I've checked it against all the pictures I took when I took it apart, because this is a little bit different from the original one. So yeah, lots of stripping down, but all of these have to be back, otherwise the car's not going to fire up. Yeah, so that's all ready. So this is going to get mounted on the motor, and then obviously build that back up, get it back in the car, get all the wiring on, and then we'll see if it will actually fire up and spin the motor, which would be fantastic. So all right, I'm going to build this stack. Catch you later. Okay, we've got a stack built. It's looking a bit better now. We look like we're getting somewhere. So yeah, that control box, the cover's on, the wiring onto the motor is done, and that cover's back on, and so that's underneath. The motor wires kind of go through a gap, and there's a little housing, little plate underneath that you take off. Yeah, so that the box is bolted back on, air conditioning compressor's back on. There's a bracket on the back as well that we took off so that we could get the reduction gear off. So yeah, I've got to get that back in and mounted. There's a mammoth amount of wiring, and I did it slightly differently than the Renault procedure, because this is a CCS car. The official procedure is a lot of dismantling, whereas it kind of just trying to work this out. It looks like it's possible to kind of wiggle things out without doing the full amount of dismantling that the Renault procedure mentions. So, you know, instructions are just one person's version of a good idea. So yeah, we did it a little bit differently, but what that means is I actually took some stuff off, or took some wiring off, and then subsequently I did it a different way. So I've got like wiring off at both ends and things that I need to basically put back together, and just double check where things go before then we get that back in, and then we get that wiring back onto it. Sometimes I wonder why I do these jobs. Yeah, I know a few people who do this, and garages who do this kind of job and help them out with it and stuff, and nobody's done an R135. We're using used parts. We don't know if it's going to work. We don't know if there's going to be compatibility issues, but yeah, why do I take these things on? I don't know. Someone's got to do it, I suppose. Customer always tells me no one else will do it, but yeah. Cool. Okay, right. So yeah, that's the next plan. Basically, back on message, we're going to get that back in, get all the wiring on, we'll get the minimum on to get it fired up, and just see if it works basically, and if it doesn't, then we'll have to work out what else to do. But yeah, no, we may have a few issues, but I'm kind of hoping that one way or another we'll get there. We always do. So yeah, it'll be all good. All right, cool. So I'm going to get that back in and get working on it, and catch you later. All right, cheers. Okay, sit rep. It's not looking good. We've got the stack all bolted in. We've got the wiring on. We've got the wiring on that you would. So for a ZE40, the minimum that we would be required to get it to start and run. And it's not happy. I've had major issues with the diagnostic tool, just trying to get it to communicate. Trying a couple of different tools. So yeah, it's not looking too good at the minute. So yeah, it's flashing up a couple of messages. Electromotor failure is what it had before, although it did start before, but it doesn't do now. Check electrics, not too much of an issue, but yeah, it doesn't start and it doesn't do anything currently. It seems like the high voltage system is not coming on. I did manage to get the diagnostic tool to connect, and there was a bucket load of errors basically from all different high voltage components. It's really difficult trying to work out whether they're the cause or whether they're just a symptom. Check vehicle, what does that mean? So yeah, at the minute it's not looking too good. I'm gonna have to recheck on my connections. I was kind of hoping it would fire up at this point. And because I've not done a ZE50 before, this is the first one, you sort of, basically the Renault instructions involve quite a lot of disassembly. So some of that I did in a slightly different way to sort of save time. So you sort of start disassembling something and then you think, oh, I don't think I need to do this. So then you do it a different way. So you've got like wires disconnected at both ends. So I don't know if I've missed something. Yeah, okay. Right, I need to recheck everything, but at the minute, that's not looking too good. Okay, the other issue is that my diagnostic machines, when they actually connect, neither of them can actually talk to the PUB, the motor controller, and that was the thing that was giving the faults. Because it's quite a newish car and these haven't been updated for a while. So, okay, yeah, so we could have more fault codes that I can't even see. Okay, right, I need to recheck on my wiring and we'll go from there. Right, catch you in a bit. Okay, there was a connector that wasn't quite seated properly, which I've just put on. We've got DC charging possible because of the charging socket not being there, but right, let's give this a go. Okay, right, so now it's in ready. Yeah, we got no headlights. There's literally no headlights. So if we put it in drive, that is in drive. Oh, the motor's spinning. It's going a bit mad because it's got nothing to slow it down, but it's actually spinning. Fly brake, yeah, that'll be all right. It's actually turning. Yeah, the motor is spinning. Okay, that's what it was. Wowzers. Okay, let's just make sure it's happy in here. I think I've switched it off, but no, it's still in ready mode. I think we've got it. I think we've actually done it. Okay, I need to do a bit more testing and a lot more reassembly, but I think this car is fixed. It would have, if there was an immobiliser issue, it wouldn't have gone to ready, so we've obviously got around that, and it obviously works. Let's just switch that off. Okay, wowzers. I'm just going to check that starts again. Sorry for the bad camera work. I'm just going to try and start the car again. Yeah, it goes to ready. Crumbs. Okay, it seems like we've fixed it. Right. Okay, I need to do some more testing, but right, it looks like it's possible. So this is an R135, a ZE50, and we have swapped the control box. Okay, cool. I'm very relieved. We seem to have lots of warnings up here, which we need to look at, but it works, which is fantastic. Check vehicle, I don't know what that means. Got some warnings up there. I'm not too worried though, because like half the front of the car is disassembled. I am very relieved. Right, fantastic. It works. It is alive. Hoorah. Catch you later.